Okay, what I want to start talking about here is saving selections. So I'm going to jump over here to my Polygon Lasso tool, because this is a square, so it's a pretty simple shape for me to outline. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the front part of this. And I'm just going to make a quick selection here. And that's the front of my box. So I'm going to come up here to select, save selection, and I'm going to name it front. Then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to get a little closer here. Same thing here. Now normally I want to get these pretty accurate. For the sake of speed, I'm going a little quicker here. Not quite as accurate. This I'm going to put select, save selection, side. And then one more. I'm going to get closer here. Now normally I'd probably go to my pen tool for this one. And select, save selection, top. Now I've already pulled some graphics here that I'm going to pull from something I just had left over. I'm going to take it out of the dock so I can just pull this over here. Now the second part of this, I'm going to come over here to my layers and pull back my opacity so I can see the box underneath, because what I'm going to do here, I want to make this a little bigger. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull the perspective on this so it follows the front of the box. So we're going to go back over here to edit, into our transform tool, and to distort. And I'm just going to pull this so it's sort of following the perspective of this box. Somewhere about there. And we're going to color block out this box. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this back up to 100% opacity. And I'm going to do my overlay, multiply. So I can see the box through there. I'm going to go back up here to select, load selection, and I'm going to pick my front. Then up here to select, and I'm going to invert that so it selects everything around it and delete it. So now we've got the front of our box. Now what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to block out the sides and the top in the same way. And I don't think we want to wrap the same image around the box. I think we can probably come up with a color solution and color block the box. And the second part of this is that we'll put a nutritional panel and everything on here. And I'm going to add some type real quick to this. So let's go back to, I'm just going to pull this type in. We're going to run the same drill here with this. I'm going to make it a little smaller, so I'm going to go Command T, which is transform, and just scale it down. Then back up to edit, transform. It's not giving me my distort. Now the reason it's not giving me my distort is because this is type, so I'm going to rasterize this type. I'm going to go to layer, or type, I'm sorry, rasterize type layer. And now it should let me distort it. So I'm going to go to transform, distort, and do the same thing where it's following this perspective better. We're going to go in and we're going to continue this with the top and the sides. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing here is that this front, I want to make it a little more saturated. So I'm going to go to Command U, which is our hue saturation hotkey. And I'm going to saturate this a little more. That's a little better. Now I want to block the top and the sides. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make another layer, and I'll call it side. I'm just going to sample my eyedropper. I'm going to just sample this blue that's here. Then I'm going to go back up to my select, load selection. I'm going to do my side. Then I'm just going to fill it. And then my multiply again. I'm going to do another one for the top. And I think I'll just pick this font color. Load selection. Top. And fill it. And then I'm going to do the same thing, multiply. Now I want to put a nutritional panel on here, which I've already dropped in here, which is here. So I'm going to pull this up higher. I'm going to size this a little better. Maybe there. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come up here to transform, distort, and just pull it so it's fitting that perspective. That's probably close enough for now. Now what I can do here is I can click on my image here in my layers window, command click it, and then I can click back down to my side panel here and delete some of the color out of that, because then if I go up to my nutritional panel again and I do a multiply, it's going to pick up the shading on the side of the box. And what we're going to go into after this is we'll go into some layer styles, things we can do to our type. Okay, I have my type isolated here because I want to talk about a couple of things. Now to make this easier, right now the computer is seeing this as type. If you see it here, it's showing this type logo here, and that's telling you that it's type. But I'm going to rasterize that, so I'm going to go up here to rasterize type layer under type. And now the computer just sees this, or the program just sees this as a shape. So I'm going to go to our command, click the icon on here. So now I've got a selection. And what I want to talk about a little bit here is under select, you go down here to modify, and you have this, it'll pull in the selection, push out the selection, it'll feather the selection, do different things. One of the things I'm going to do right now is I just want to expand it. And I'm going to expand it by, it's asking me here how much do I want to expand it by, and I'm going to say by 3. I'm going to try that. That's not quite enough. So I'm going to command Z, I'm going to go to select, modify, expand, and let's try 10. That's better. Now I'm going to go here to edit, stroke, and I'm going to give it a 2-point stroke, or a 2-pixel stroke, and try that. So let's deselect it for a second. Okay, so you can see it gave it a little line around it here. Now another thing I want to talk about here is layer styles, which is right here under layer. And this is where you have your kind of typical quick things that you see a lot, like Bevel Emboss, drop shadow, things like that. So if we go to Bevel Emboss, it's going to give us this window, and you can see it's already applied it here. But I don't like it that bubbly looking. So let's go give it a little harder edge, which is right here under soften. I don't want to soften it, I want it a pretty hard edge. I can change the angle of the lighting here, I can change the contour here, I can change the opacity here, shadow mode, so we can knock the shadow down so it's not quite so strong if we want, or darker if we want that. The other one that's really common in here under layers is drop shadow. And right here, here's distance. So it's pushing the distance away from how far it's pushing that. The spread on it, if you notice, it gets a little more hard edge as we go there. And then the size of it. I'm going to pull that distance back up. And we'll go through some of these other ones under layer styles later on, but they're pretty straightforward and they're good to go in and just play with.